So I'll take a few notes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Wilson. I use he, him pronouns, and as the Congregational Life Coordinator, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this service at the First Universalist Church of Rochester. If this is your first time here this morning, we especially welcome you and thank you for making it to our worshiping community. You and everyone else are invited to remain after for coffee hour in the Claire Barton Lounge, which you can get through either of these two doors or online in the same Zoom link. There's also a visitor's form on the back of your order of service, or by clicking the link in the chat. We ask you to fill this out so we can offer you a welcome beyond what we can here this morning, and so you can stay up to date as to what's happening here at the church. Just a reminder, if you have a big joy or sorrow in your heart this morning, we invite you to write it in the notebook here on the chancel or in the chat in Zoom anytime before the chalice is lit. So now is a good time to do that. Two quick announcements. The Fellowship Club returns this Tuesday, August 4th at noon. So if you're available, come join us for a social time. And our lost and found section will be emptied out today. It's been gathering, it's quite full, and nobody's been asking for lost and found things for a while. So if you're missing anything, today's your last chance to check it before we empty it, and it will build up again. All right, before we take a moment to turn towards our neighbor, let's say hello to our online worshiping community by waving towards the Progress Pride flag there in the back where our camera is. If you're online, pop a greeting into the chat. We're happy you're joining us here on this rainy Sunday morning. And for those of us here in person, let's take a moment to turn towards our neighbor and offer a greeting this morning. Okay, let's rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn number 8 in the gray hymnal, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit.
Good morning, friends. Morning. My name is Jay Joslin. I use he, him pronouns. So, when you were a kid, who was your favorite scientist? Because, as we all know, unlike athletes, rock stars, Caped Crusaders, every kid on the planet Earth has a favorite scientist. Right? Okay, maybe it's just the weird kids who have favorite scientists. However weird, wonky, wondrous, or well-adjusted you are, a few of your favorite things are all, in some way, science adjacent. When you are making your first science fair volcano with vinegar and baking soda, your curiously enthusiastic mess is motivated by a process that invites questions. Who will clean this up may be one of them, but it's surely not the most fun question. I remember a feeling that studying the sciences wasn't to reveal how everything works, but to discover that everything works. As a kid, I passionately devoured as many ologies as I could, not for grades. Those fields were metaphors for comprehending a very confusing life full of conflicts and decisions about who you're going to be when you grow up, if that ever happens. Biology unveils limitless expressions of life in the sea or under the feet. Geology gives a story to how the world is shaped, just so. Physics affirms that everything moves on in a flux of energy that neither comforts nor condemns. For young me, everything fell a little bit apart when I decided to study religion. Perhaps I came at studying religion backwards. Having first absorbed a language that seeks to make the processes of being alive more accessible through science, the workings of the universe were suddenly gummed up by dualisms, right and good, wrong and evil. And I had it easy. I grew up Episcopalian. Young me wanted to get neurosis out of the way early so I could make room for more important problems later. Thank heaven for epiphanies. Those moments of eureka can be instigated by the darndest things. My most potent epiphany came by way of a pesky little brain tumor. 7 years ago this week, a clump of cells about the size of a peanut was yanked from my head. Well, it was a little bit more complicated than a yank, technically, leaving me half deaf and off balance. Now, right after surgery and through my early recovery, I kept hearing a phrase ringing through my head, ringing through my soul like a distant bell. That phrase was, life is the rarest element in the universe. And it became a mantra, an oddly calming way to size up my new situation and the situation at large. The gift of this fortune cookie-like axiom smoothed the edges of anxiety and seemed to make sense of it. And also seemed to make sense of all the senselessness that's around us. If life is indeed the rarest element in the universe, the clawing desire for more of it seemed to explain our cruelties. If life is indeed the rarest element in the universe, cherishing its scarcity seemed to explain our compassions. Those 8 words led me to healing faster than any billable service. What could have been a bleak time was transformed by words that I know somehow didn't come from me. Unlike the unknowns of iffy prognosis, the mystery of it all is something to savor. Now, if it weren't for the science of medicine, things would be different for all of us today. If it weren't for those unvoiced whispers in our souls, who would you be today? Far from being caught between divisive ways of explaining the world, we have an invitation to simply be in the world. We are alive. It's tempting to say that we are alive because of this or by the grace of that. Without qualifications, we are alive, and neither science nor religion can quarrel with that. Oh, and my favorite scientist, of course, it was Sagan. When we recognize our place in an immensity of light years and in the passage of ages, he wrote, when we grasp the intricacy, beauty, and subtlety of life, then that soaring feeling, that sense of elation and humility combined, is surely spiritual. Come, let us worship together. Now, as Kitty Forbush comes forward to light our chalice at First Universalist, and you light a chalice in your own homes, please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit. And may we reach out to serve our community. Please rise in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. You may be seated. I now invite you into the spiritual practice of generosity. The good work of this church is funded by the gifts you give. Part of that good work is the ministry of the music committee. This committee works with our music director to oversee all the ways music touches our congregational life. Their reach also extends to community partnerships with the Eastman School and rock music. Now, would any members of the music committee present raise your hands here or online? Thank you. We are so grateful for your contributions to the life of this church and the needs of the world. Let us give with grateful hearts this morning. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code in the laminated sheet in your pew. This is also a great time to place visitors' forms in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church, and thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
It's story time.
And if you are a kiddo, if you are a kiddo at heart, or bonus, if you've ever been a kiddo, I invite you to come forward. We roll out the blankie. There we go. You can take a seat in the blankie if you want. Our story today is by Oliver Jeffers. It's called Here We Are. And here we are on a planet in space. And that's what this story is about. It was written originally as a letter to his infant child. Now, if you can just use your imagination and think of the starry sky and the constellations, they show us how to find our way when we get lost. There's the Pole Star and the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper. Any other constellations you can think of? Orion.
Cassiopeia.
Cassiopeia, it's one of my favorites. And we can find the Pole Star, which is how we can get our way back home. Now, our solar system has many planets and asteroids and dwarf planets, though I still contend Pluto is really important. And looking at our solar system helps to remind us of where we are. Well, hello. Welcome to the planet. Welcome to this planet. We call it Earth. It is the big globe floating in space on which we live. It's good to have refreshers every now and then. We're glad you found us because space is very big. There's much to see and do here on Earth. So let's have a quick tour. So we can imagine the sea. There is the sea, which is full of wondrous things. We know a bit about the sea, but we'll talk more once you have learned to swim. There's also the sky. Things can get a bit complicated in the sky with those constellations, the Milky Way, the moon, outer space, and all the levels of the atmosphere. Okay, moving on. Don't want to lose anybody. On our planet, there are people. And I see a few people around me. One people is a person. You are a person, 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 and I don't want to unperson anybody. You are a person and you have a body with a head and a brain and arms, and some of us have plentiful bellies. Look after this body, as most bits do not grow back. The most important things for people to remember are to eat and drink and stay warm. Now, people come in many shapes, sizes, and colors. We all may look different and act different and sound different, but don't be fooled. We're all people. And there are animals too. They come in even more shapes, sizes, and colors, like octopi and rhinoceros and albatross and cougars. Now, they can't speak in the way that we do, but that's no reason not to be nice to them. You might not be able to speak yet either, even though your head is full of questions. Be patient. You will learn how to use words soon enough. Generally, how it works is that when the sun is out, it's daytime, and we do stuff. Today, we get a little wet doing stuff. The rest of the time is night, when it is dark, except for the moon. That's when we sleep. Things can sometimes move slowly here on Earth. More often, though, they will move very quickly. So use your time well. It will be gone before you know it. Though we have come a long way, We haven't quite worked everything out. So there is plenty left for you to do. You will figure out lots of things for yourself. Just remember to leave notes for everyone else. It looks big, the earth, and there are lots of us here, just over 8 billion and counting. So be kind. There is enough for everyone on planet Earth. Make sure you look after it. It's all we've got. Now, if you don't need anything else, or if you do need anything else, just ask. I won't be far away. And when I'm not around, you can always ask someone else. You're never alone on Earth. Thank you. And now you can go back to your pews, or you can continue to sit on the blanket if it is cozy for you. And I invite you to rise as we sing our doxology.
I invite you now into this reverent time of sharing the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like to, you can place a hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered place. We know so very much is going on in our world today, and if you have sorrows or joys to share on behalf of our national or our global community, you are truly encouraged to do so today and in the future. As Jay places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. Okay. From Bill Schummelt. This past Thursday's ice cream social was very successful. Bill and Sister Beth wish to express their appreciation to all of the volunteers from First Universalist Church. We provided food, clothing, health checkups, housing info, and of course, ice cream to 120 unhoused people. Excuse me. I apologize, I'm having trouble with this name. Angelino Bell? Thank you. Yeah. Happy for all of our new friends and family in this congregation and celebrating 10 years of marriage with Molly. Congratulations. A joy from Willow. Fawn and I were gifted tickets to the Museum of Play and saw the butterflies. MJ Curry, a joy, grateful that my stepfather is in treatment for alcoholism at an excellent facility in Boston. And a sorrow from Chris DeGolier, my brother Todd died unexpectedly on July 23rd. Today we share in a community ritual to honor Many, many unspoken concerns and celebrations live in our hearts, and we have honored them now, even when they were offered in silence. Now the circle of our care is drawn larger. May it increase forevermore. I invite you now to join with me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. O God of many names, the personal and mysterious, we have come to a quiet time, an interior place, a place for the deepening of spirit, the enrichment of soul. We seek to know ourselves by knowing you. Let us have the courage to sit in the unknowing, to look for the answers, even if they are to sit with our own questions, to be willing to be authentic with ourselves, to be ready to bring our face to the world. Let us be willing to know others by welcoming their genuine features, by welcoming them into the world, by appreciating the beauty that comes from seeing wholeness and truth. Let us sit together in that quiet depth. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. I invite you now to join us in singing our hymn of contemplation, number 123, Spirit of Life. So I have to say, when I heard the famous favorite scientist thing, my thoughts went to Sheldon Cooper and Dr. Proton, who was played by Bob Newhart. I also wanted to make a quick note. The first hymn, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, when I programmed it, Dr. Brock sent me an email and he said, we're trying to get away from using binary language in our services. And I thought about it, and the reason I stuck with the hymn is because I see the mother and father energy. I think we all have both of those energies inside of ourselves, and so to me it's honoring two different types of energy that we all manifest in the world. So I hope that that's clear. So it seems that I'm getting at least one sermon a year, maybe more, from Facebook these days. Now, maybe you could infer from that I'm spending too much time on Facebook, but a few months ago, I saw a post with a link to an article about some nuns in New York City. The article was about how high the cost of living has become and how some various convents in New York City had started renting rooms to members of the public. The main reason they did this, that they stated, was to really have a form of ministry. The sisters recognized how high the rents had become and how unaffordable it was for so many people. And they had extra room, and so they decided that the charitable thing to do would be to make some of this space available to people who needed it. The nuns also benefited because they got some much-needed revenue to help with their expenses. So it was really a win-win for both parties. The renters were able to obtain affordable housing, and the nuns got the needed revenue to keep the convents up. Seemed like a great idea. As much as I enjoyed the article, what struck me the most was the comment section and a comment that someone made underneath the post. A woman posted, "It's a great idea, but it's sad that these nuns are forced to rent out rooms like this." To which a man named Matt replied, "Why? They dedicated their lives to a completely fake deity that's never done anything for anybody. Although it sure did give a lot of middle-aged women a job paid for by millions of other brainwashed humans." I felt called to respond to Matt. And I wrote, "Faith and spirituality are so much deeper than the deity a person supposedly worships. Contrary to your statement that they dedicated their lives to something fake, they have in reality dedicated themselves to the very real values of service, charity, faith, hope, and love." Matt replied, "Ha, ha, 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 ha. I'm a spiritual atheist based on my direct lived experience, not a bunch of complete BS written down 2,000 years ago by some fake guy named Paul who never met Yeshua, who made the whole thing up based on previous sun god worships throughout the world." Matt had obviously completely missed the point, not only of my comment, but of the value of these women's vocations in the first place. Because I can almost guarantee you that not a single person who dedicates themselves that completely to religious life does so based on a simple, unquestioned belief in the literal accuracy of a Bible story. I attended seminary in several extremely ecumenical environments. I did my first year at Colgate Rochester Divinity School, and I was one of only 4 or 5 Unitarian Universalists in the whole place. And everyone else there was a member of an explicitly Christian denomination. And the same was true when I transferred to Meadville Lombard in Chicago. Yes, Meadville Lombard is a Unitarian Universalist seminary, but it is also part of an 8-seminary consortium called ACTS, Association of Chicago Theological Schools. And we all took classes in the many different schools. I took classes at the Lutheran School of Theology, McCormick Presbyterian Theological Seminary, the University of Chicago Divinity School, and I even took several classes at the Catholic Theological Union. And in these classes, I met seminarians from every possible religious background from all over the world. While many were Christian, I also studied with people preparing to be Jewish rabbis, a few Muslim students, a handful of Buddhists, and several agnostic and atheist scholars who approached religion as a purely intellectual rather than spiritual exercise. At Meadville Lombard, we also had our share of Wiccan and earth-based theologians, and all of this diversity contributed to an incredibly rich experience. At the Catholic Theological Union, I studied with nuns, Catholic brothers, and a few aspiring priests. None of these people were anywhere near as naive or dogmatic as my Facebook friend Matt seemed to assume. To a person, they were all intellectually curious, open-minded, and ecumenical. They didn't think that they were in possession of absolute truth, nor did they think that their way was the only way. And that's almost without exception of everyone that I knew. To the contrary, the guiding ethos in these communities was that all of the world's religions are essentially the same. Although they have different stories, they have different rituals to inspire people, at heart, everyone's path led to the same place. And that place had much less to do with the supernatural or the literal accuracy of an ancient story than it did with the universal human principles of kindness, compassion, and justice. Instead, I think that stories like the Christ story or the story of the Buddha are aspirational starting points, which lead people deeper into the faith journey. They become the foundations for faith in action, but they're not the purpose of it. In recent years, there's been a lot of controversy over the Pledge of Allegiance. I know a lot of people who will not say it in the current political climate because they see it as pledging allegiance to the current presidential administration. Now, for most people, this issue is something that they don't really have to think about very much. But if you teach in a public school, as I did until very recently, it was something that you had to think about every day. At the beginning of the Trump era, I questioned whether or not I would be able to or want to say the Pledge of Allegiance every day. It's led by the principal over the loudspeaker. We all stand and put our hands over our hearts. So I questioned, am I going to continue to do that? Not saying it, of course, could have ended up being a huge political statement and could have brought me a lot of unwanted attention. I could even see Channel 13 there. The part-time minister who won't say the pledge. And perhaps subconsciously, the wish to avoid this controversy led me to think it through quite thoroughly before I took a stand. I was walking our dog one afternoon after school when it suddenly occurred to me, however, that the Pledge of Allegiance is an aspirational statement. It is not an affirmation of the present state of things. When we say the pledge, we are not saying that we believe that we have achieved liberty and justice for all. Instead, it is a daily reminder of our aspirations as a nation and as a culture and as a people. It reminds us of the goal to which we are committed. And if the phrase liberty and justice for all catches in our throats a little or nags at our conscience as it comes out our mouths, we are forced to reckon with reality, reflect upon how far we still have to go, and strengthen our resolve to do our part to fulfill the mission. And I think for many Christians, the story of Jesus serves a similar function. Rather than serving as an historically accurate biography, it is an aspirational story. An example of a person who, to quote the UUA handout on Fowler's faith stages, has attained a rare state of radical love, universal compassion, and action against injustice. Individuals who have transcended social boundaries to champion the well-being of all humanity. James Fowler describes people at this stage as having a special grace that makes them seem more lucid, more simple, and yet somehow more fully human than the rest of us. People at this stage can become important religious teachers because they have the ability to relate to anyone from any stage or any faith. They are able to relate without condescension, but at the same time, they're able to challenge assumptions that those people at other faith stages might have. People at this stage cherish life, but do not hold on to life too tightly. They put their faith in action, challenging the status quo and working to create justice in the world. Robert Keeley points to people like Gandhi and Mother Teresa as examples of people who have reached this stage. And I've also heard many people include Martin Luther King Jr. in this group of people as well. So you might ask, in this day and age, don't spiritual leaders, why don't they just simply abandon these stories about Jesus or the Buddha and just appeal directly to people's better natures and aspirations? And I think the answer is this. It's that stories are powerful and identifiable and unifying. Movements seem to need idealized foundational figures around which to organize. A good example of this would be George Washington. Now, most of us by now know that the story of the father of our country is largely a myth. He never chopped down a cherry tree and then said to his father, "Father, I cannot tell a lie." But this version of George Washington is not really intended to be an historically accurate portrayal of a real human being. It's an aspirational story of honesty and integrity, which is meant to remind us of our core values and to inspire us to emulate his virtuous conduct. So that's the myth separated from the human being. No actual living flesh and blood human being could ever embody the degree of virtue that Jesus or the Buddha can for us. And the closer someone is to actually having a mortal life, the more risk there is of the story being tainted by scandal or controversy, as has happened in recent years with the renewed scrutiny on historical figures like Thomas Jefferson. And so figures like the Buddha and Jesus serve as crucial sacred figures who inspire billions of people all around the world to emulate their examples. Also, their stories kind of serve as a sort of spiritual shorthand. If you are versed in these stories, simply invoking the name of Christ or the Buddha creates a complete image of everything that one aspires to. And this, I think, is one of their values. And so my pushback to people like Matt on Facebook is that people of faith, many of them, like the nuns in the story or most of the clergy people that I know serving around the country, have transcended the original origin stories of whatever particular religious group they belong to. They long ago made whatever kind of peace they needed to make in their own souls, to move beyond myth and superstition so that they could put faith into action and lived experience. What atheists who are at Matt's level of philosophical development seem to get wrong is that they assume that people of true faith are simply performing empty rituals based on faulty and antiquated beliefs. They miss the real purpose of spirituality, the real power of faith in action. I believe that we are, to some extent, living in a post-theology era, a time where it no longer matters what we believe about God, the afterlife, or the supernatural. We are in an era where our faith is based on and rooted in our values rather than our beliefs. And this is an incredibly hopeful thing. Because unlike beliefs about the supernatural over which we can argue and debate and become divided so easily, values are much more universal. We can all unite around them. Compassion and justice are absolutely universal concepts. If the story of Jesus inspires people to strive to live those values, what purpose is served by dissecting the details, parsing each element of the story to see if it all makes literal sense? I think we are largely moving beyond the era where that seems to be a vital undertaking. When I first became a Unitarian Universalist in the mid-1980s, most UUs were extremely focused on theology. Is there a God? Is there a heaven? Did Jesus exist? Were any parts of that story true? The mere mention of God was controversial. One of the first issues of the UU World that I ever received had a little cartoon in it, and the caption over the picture was Ministerial Search Committee. And the picture showed an earnest-looking young man sitting at a table across from 3 or 4 older people who were interviewing him to be their potential new minister. And one of the interviewers had a bubble coming out of his mouth which said, "Well, we're going to have to think this over carefully. We've never had a minister who believed in God before." But over the years, it has become much less controversial to use the word God in a Unitarian Universalist context. When I first stepped into May Memorial Unitarian Universalist Church in Syracuse in 1984, the mere use of the word God from the pulpit could spark controversy if it was not used deftly, judiciously, and heavily contextualized. In 2026, I often use the word God in the pastoral prayer or in the benediction, and it passes completely unnoticed. We have evolved culturally, and we have grown spiritually, and we have transcended the need to define ourselves by what we do not believe. And in that transformation, we have opened up so much more space and time and energy to talk about those things that we do believe. Justice, equity, and compassion in all human relations. The inherent worth and dignity of each and every human life. The right of conscience and the crucial and vital use of the democratic process. Respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, and what we must work harder and harder to protect. The goal of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. These values unite every single person of faith, no matter what their theology may be. And our friends, whether they be Christian or Muslim or Jewish or Buddhist or Hindu or agnostic or atheist, can all unite around these values and these principles. I think we are truly entering a post-theology era, an era where our values will unite us more than our theology will divide us, where people of faith can transcend theology and belief systems to focus on the universal power of compassion and justice, where how you treat your neighbor matters more than who you say your prayers to, where how you fight for justice matters more than how old you think the earth is, where we are united by our values more than we are separated by our theological beliefs. Of all of the ACTS schools that I attended in Chicago, I enjoyed my classes at the Catholic Theological Union the most. In one of my classes there, I became friendly with a young man named Alfonso. Alfonso was from Italy, and he was preparing to be a full-fledged Roman Catholic priest. Now, Alfonso did not fit the studious image that I had held prior to that at all about people who became priests. He was handsome, charming, outgoing, athletic. He played soccer all through high school. He played the jazz guitar. He was also very intelligent and very sincere. Knowing he was preparing to be a Roman Catholic priest, I was quite surprised one day in class when he referred to the Jesus story as the Christ metaphor. I was so intrigued that I approached him after class and asked if we could discuss it a little bit. He invited me to join him for coffee, which we had done a couple of times before, and he explained to me his view of the Jesus story. I see the story metaphorically, he said, and I think most of us that get as far as seminary do. But, he added, the metaphor is powerful and it's unifying, and we now have 2,000 years of history with it. And with this metaphor, religion has done many good things. So, he said, I don't concern myself with what parts of the story are true and what parts are not. That doesn't matter. What matters, he said, is the impact that that story has on the soul. Now, I will certainly not presume to speak for all religious people around the world, but based on my experiences with Alfonso and many, many other people that I knew in seminary, I feel safe in saying that most, if not all, people who dedicate their lives to religious service of whatever stripe are motivated by their values and by the impact that those values have on the world, and not by the literal truth of every detail of their origin stories. Before I finish, I will briefly acknowledge that these same metaphors and these same stories have been misused to cause harm and oppression all over the world as well. But that will be a topic for another Sunday. So this morning I have given a long and carefully thought out reply to Matt on Facebook. Maybe he stumbled upon our Zoom link this morning. I should have sent it to him. I invite you now to join in our closing hymn, number 23, Bring Many Names.
Holy
extinguishes our chalice flame this morning, and let us read together the words printed on the screen, I think. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. As we close our service this morning, I invite you again to place your hand over your heart. If you are joining us online, I invite you to turn your settings to gallery view and look upon the faces of those here with you. For those of us in this room, let's take a moment to look around at those who are here today. May we honor and hold gently our past. May we live fully our present. May we hope toward and build our future, living our mission to be a spiritual community, to welcome all, to nurture one another, to work for justice, and to care for the earth. May these new walls breathe with the hope and faith and love of the ages. May these walls never become walls that separate, to hold us in and others out. May they be like arms that reach outward to embrace our community and our beautiful and broken world, extending our ministry to all with healing, justice, service, and love. Let us go forth in joy, live in peace, and return in love. So may it be. Amen. Everyone is invited to join us for the coffee hour immediately after the service in the Clara Barton Lounge or in the current Zoom meeting. We hope to see everyone there.